Every day after work, I felt like a deflated balloon. I would sit on the couch, phone in hand, scrolling endlessly. No purpose, no peace, just a blur of YouTube shorts, snacks, and guilt. I kept telling myself I deserved rest. But rest is not a mindless distraction. Rest is healing, recharging, growing. And I was doing none of that. So I changed things, not overnight, but one habit at a time. These tweaks did not just fix my evenings, they helped me reclaim my energy, my time, and my sense of self. The first thing I did was create a transition ritual. Right after work, I gave myself 10 minutes with no screens and no tasks. I would change into comfortable clothes, wash my face, and play soft music. Sometimes I lit incense. This small pause became a signal to my brain, work is over, life starts now. Without this reset, I used to drag my work stress into the evening. But with it, I felt like I was crossing a line from surviving to living. The more consistent I became with this, the more quickly my body and mind adapted to it. It became a sacred little ceremony, not dramatic, just grounding. I even started looking forward to it. It wasn't just a routine, it was a moment of relief, a break between two different worlds. After a long day at work, that pause helped me reset and prepare for a fresh evening ahead. Then I began tracking energy. Every evening I would write down one thing that gave me energy and one thing that drained it. Patterns started forming. Walks gave me life. Social media drained it. Music lifted my spirit. Junk food made me feel sluggish. It taught me that energy is not just about sleep or food. It is emotional, mental, even spiritual. And when I respected that, my evenings started to feel lighter and clearer. I noticed that certain environments helped too. Clean spaces made me feel open. Dim lighting made me calmer. Just being aware of what lifts or lowers energy becomes a superpower. For example, I noticed that a cluttered room left me feeling unsettled, so I'd spend just 10 minutes tidying up each night. It wasn't about deep cleaning, it was about creating a space where I could be at ease. I also decluttered digitally. I bought a second phone, just a basic one, no social media, no apps, just calls and texts. My main phone stayed in a drawer after 7 p.m. It was hard at first, like detoxing, but eventually silence stopped feeling uncomfortable. It felt like peace. Evenings without the constant pull of screens felt slow in the best way possible. I could finally hear myself think. I could breathe. I even started having new ideas again. Little dreams I had forgotten started coming back into focus. To make it easier to stick with, I also created a simple ritual around my phone. No more checking emails after 7 p.m. If something was urgent, it would still wait until morning. To avoid decision fatigue, I introduced a simple rule. Do just one meaningful thing every evening. It could be journaling, reading a few pages, sketching, or calling someone I love. Not a long list, just one act that mattered. It wasn't about doing more, it was about doing less, but doing it with intention. As the days passed, the evening felt less like a rush and more like a sanctuary. No endless scrolling, no late-night work emails, just space to breathe and reconnect. That one meaningful act each night became a small, powerful ritual that anchored me. In that simplicity, I rediscovered my sense of purpose. And over time, I realized that decluttering wasn't just about clearing my devices. It was about clearing my mind. It was about making room for life, not distractions. Even if the rest of the night was messy, that one thing grounded me. It gave the evening purpose. It reminded me that small, intentional actions build a meaningful life. I noticed that by just taking a small action, I felt more in control, even on days when I was tired and tempted to just collapse into the couch. Small wins made a big difference too. I started practicing what I call micro habits, quick 2-minute actions that made me feel better without needing motivation. Filling a water bottle, stretching while waiting for tea, tidying up a single corner, writing one sentence in my notebook. Each of these actions required little effort, but the impact was profound. By taking just a moment to do something simple, I felt a sense of accomplishment. It didn't matter how small the task was. What mattered was that I was choosing to do something positive. These micro habits started stacking up, creating momentum that carried me through the day. The more I practiced them, the more I realized that small actions were just as important as big ones. They were building blocks for my well-being. Each small win was a reminder that change doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be simple, it can be quiet, But over time, those tiny moments of care added up to something bigger than I ever expected. Each small habit became a trigger, a reminder. You are not wasting time. You are taking care of yourself. And when you take care of yourself in small ways, it becomes easier to do the bigger things. It was like stacking little victories on top of one another. One habit at a time, I started building momentum. I wasn't waiting for some grand event or surge of motivation to do something meaningful. I was creating it through these tiny, consistent actions. Even something as simple as cleaning up the dishes from dinner would provide a sense of completion and satisfaction, helping me feel less overwhelmed and more in control of my evening. These tiny acts of care were more than just tasks. They were reminders that I had the power to shape my environment and my mood. They made me feel competent, capable, and in charge of my own well-being. They helped me realize that I didn't need to wait for inspiration to act. The power of small wins was in how they added up, and that made all the difference. These moments of action, no matter how small, became anchors in my day. They grounded me, helping me stay present and focused on what truly mattered. They were proof that progress didn't always have to be grand or dramatic. It could be as simple as showing up for yourself, one small step at a time. I also began doing emotional check-ins. Every night, I would ask myself 3 things. What emotion is strongest in me right now? What do I need emotionally? What or who could help meet that need? Sometimes I was not tired, I was just lonely, or overwhelmed, or overstimulated. These moments of awareness helped me respond to myself instead of reacting blindly. I started treating myself like someone I was responsible for caring about. I realized how powerful it was to acknowledge what I needed instead of trying to ignore it or push it aside. Those simple questions shifted my mindset entirely. Another shift was social. I used to isolate myself in the evenings, thinking I needed solitude. But too much solitude turns into disconnection, so I added one light social connection per week, a quick walk with a friend, a voice message, a short phone call. These simple interactions became like a spark of energy that carried me through the rest of my evening. I quickly realized that these small connections didn't have to be deep or long to have a significant impact. A 5-minute conversation or a quick laugh shared with someone I care about was enough to remind me that I wasn't alone in my experiences, that I could reach out and connect, even when I felt like retreating. These moments brought warmth and energy into my evenings. And when I truly needed to be alone, I made it intentional. More like a retreat, less like a withdrawal. Connection and solitude are both fuel when chosen with clarity. It also helped to notice the difference between solitude that nurtured me and isolation that drained me. Sometimes I needed time to reflect or to rest and recharge, but other times I'd fall into isolation without realizing it, and that would leave me feeling more empty than rejuvenated. Learning to distinguish between the two was a game changer. I started scheduling these small moments of connection with the same care I gave to my alone time, and it made all the difference in my emotional well-being. Being more intentional about social interactions not only strengthened my relationships, but also helped me develop a greater sense of balance. I found that when I made space for light social connections, I felt more grounded and centered. I wasn't just waiting for the next moment of disconnection to escape, so I was actively engaging in life, even if it was in small, manageable ways. This shift allowed me to embrace the quiet moments with a fuller sense of presence, knowing I had balanced solitude and connection in a way that served me best. If your evenings feel like they are slipping through your fingers, do not look for perfection. Look for connection. One ritual, one action, one breath of awareness. You do not need to squeeze productivity out of every hour. You just need to stop leaking your energy into things that leave you feeling emptier. The goal is not to do more, it is to live with intention. These changes did not give me a flawless night routine, they gave me something better. Peace, clarity, ownership over how I end each day. You do not need 8 changes. Start with 1, but start now. Our evenings are waiting. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.